He starts the lesson with a quotation of Tom Watson Sr. I quote, failure is the highway to success. If you want to succeed, double your failure rate. He also comments that all success stories are also stories of great failures. The people only see the one side of the picture, they see one side of the coin. Whereas if you see keenly to the life histories of the successful person, what you observe that in the initial stages they are great failures. Some comment that he must have been at the right place at the right time, but it is not true. To strengthen his views, he gives the example of life history of Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents of America. From the age 21 to 52, he lost many times. At the age of 21, he lost in business. At the age of 22, he lost the legislative race, failed again in business at the age 24, overcame the death of a sweetheart at age 26, had a nervous breakdown at age 27, lost a congregational race at age 34, lost a senatorial race at age 45. He lost vice president race at age 47 and also lost a senatorial race at age 49. Finally, he became the president of the United States at age 52. If you see the life history, can you call it as a failure or success? Definitely, we call the life history of Abraham Lincoln as a successful person. What was the great quality of Abraham Lincoln is that he never let him down himself. He bounced back again and again and got to this position. Next, we do have the life history of Lady Forrest, who invented the triodes tube. It is also called Audion tube. Without that, it is impossible to broadcast in radio. He was charged with fraudulent means to mislead the public into buying stocks of his company. But without that invention, it was impossible to transmit the human voice from one place to other. It is the key component in radar system, television, and computer. Then, how can you call him as a failure? He faced many charges. He overcame all that and he became a successful person, and his invention paved the way to transmit human voice from one place to the other. On December 11th, 1903, the New York Times questioned the wisdom of Wright brothers, who were going to invent a machine heavier than air that could fly, but they never bothered that and they took a famous flight after 1 week at Kitty Hawk. They were the aviation pioneers. They were given the credit of building and flying the motor run airplane. Next, we do have the life history of Colonel Harlander David Sanders, an American businessman, a restaurateur who established Kentucky fried chicken, which is famous as KFC. At the age of 65, he received a $100 check. He had a beat up car that is old and damaged. He wanted to do something. He remembered his mother's recipe. He prepared that and he knocked 1,000 doors, not one and 100,000 doors to get an order. But we would try up to 10, 100, and we would stop. But he worked hard and knocked 1,000 doors to get an order. He is the brand ambassador of his company, a symbol and image still there in his company. Next, we do have Walter Elias Disney, a young cartoonist. He faced many rejection from many newspapers saying that he had no talent. A minister of church hired him for a painting in infested shed of mouse. There he saw a small mouse, and there he got the inspiration. And the Mickey Mouse world started. He became American entrepreneur, a pioneer in the animation world. He became a writer, he became voice actor, and one of the influential person in the field of entertainment. Henry Ford forgot to put the reverse gear. Can we say him that he was a failure person? No. All success stories are stories of great failures. The only difference is that they fail, they bounce back. This is called falling forward rather than backward. You learn and move forward, learn from your failures, and keep moving. He says that we must learn from our failures, the attitude, the positive attitude, that what we have learned from our failures makes the way for our success. Shivakara gives another example, marvelous example of Thomas Alva Edison. In 1914, his factory was on fire. Mind you, it was worth a few $1 million. There was very little insurance. He was not a young man. The entire lifetime effort got up in smoke. He was 67 at that time. You see the lines when the factory was in fire, when the factory was on fire, what he said. There is great value in disaster. All our mistakes are burnt up. Thank God we can start anew. What an attitude. In spite of the disaster, in 3 weeks, he invented the phonograph. The state of a mind of a person is very important. The attitude, the strong will and determination plays the entire role in our life. Shivkera talks about some of the successful people who rose after their failures. He talks about Thomas Alva Edison, who failed 10,000 times while he was working on the bulb. Can you imagine that, please? Students, you have to concentrate on that. That a person who failed 10,000 times while working on the bulb, how much he might have worked on that. We can only imagine Henry Ford, who broke at the age of 40, established Ford Motors. Lee Iacocca, who was fired, he was the pioneer in the design of some of the Ford motor cars. Lee Iacocca worked on Ford Mustang and Ford Pinto cars. Next, he talks about Beethoven, who was told that he had no talent, but he composed one of the finest compositions in the world. He was famous composer as well as he was pianist. His best composition includes nine symphonies, five concertos, two piano sonatas, and 16 string quartets. He also composed other chamber music, choral works, etc. Can you imagine the persons who were rejected became successful in life? Next, Shivkera talks about setbacks. He says that setbacks are inevitable in life. We need faith and courage to overcome the setback. He also talks about that we must become victors, not victims. Fear and doubt short circuit the mind. Now Shivikera talks about setbacks. He tells us to ask ourselves that what we have learned from our setbacks. He quotes Napoleon Hill, who was one of the great writers in the modern times. He was the earliest producer of a modern genre of personal success literature. He is considered to be one of the great writers on success. He quotes that, I quote, whatever the mind of a man can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. He also says that there must be no fear and doubt because it creates a short circuit in the mind. Once a young man went to Socrates, a great Greek philosopher. He asked the secret of success. Socrates told him to come in the next morning near the river. When the young man came in the morning, Socrates told him to walk towards the river. When they went inside the river, when the water got up to the neck, then suddenly Socrates ducked him into the water. The young man tried to come out of that, but Socrates was very strong. He kept him in the water until he became blue. When he took out the young man, he was gasping for air. Then the Socrates asked, "What do you want now?" Air. Then he said, Then Socrates said, that is the success. When you need success as you wanted badly the air, then you will get the success. Shivkera says that we need a burning desire, which is the starting point of all accomplishment. He also says that a small fire cannot give much heat, a weak desire cannot produce great results. If you think if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you will lose, you are lost. For out in the world we find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You have got to think high to rise. You have got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles, life's battles don't always go to the stronger and faster man. But sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. I end this lesson with the inspirational lines of Shiv Khera. Thank you very much. We will meet in the next session. Until then, goodbye.